Hello, welcome again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another video where we're gonna start solving the problem set. So first of all, I do encourage you that you try working on the problem set on your own. So as you can see, I left you a PDFs with a bunch of exercises. So problem 1, problem 2. So try working on them on your own. And then once you're happy about your answer, or maybe you got stuck, then I recommend that you at that time watch the how I did it. So let's start with problem 1. So problem 1 here, it says write a C program which reads two numbers A and B from the standard input, which is basically the keyboard, and swap them and then print them back on screen. So for example, if we have A equals 5 and B equals 7.8, then we want A to become 7.8 and B becomes 5, and then finally we print A and B on the screen. So let's do that. So here I have created a new project called problem set, and that's the main.c file. It's currently empty, nothing in there. So the first thing that I have to do is basically I have to declare the two variables. So variable A and B, and notice they are of type float because here in the exercise, as you can see, the 7.8 is not an integer, okay? And as you can see here in the problem, it didn't say read two integers, it said read two numbers. So they could be integers, they could be real numbers. So so in this they're real numbers. So we declare those two variables, and then we have to read those variables from the standard input, from the keyboard, from the user. So the first thing to do that is basically to print a message asking the user to type in the first number. So that's printf A. Excuse me. And then we're gonna scanf, we're gonna read from the keyboard a floating number, and then we're gonna send the address of A. That's basically how we do it. And then I'm gonna copy this over to do the same thing for B. So that's printf B, and then I'm gonna read the float, and then I'm gonna give it the address of B. So now we have A filled and B filled by the user. So we have two numbers in there. So the next step that we have to do is to swap them. Now basically there are, let's say, two ways to swap two numbers, but I'll start with the easiest and more straightforward and more intuitive one, which is basically to create a new temporary variable, and then you back up one of the variables into that newly created variable, and then you copy the third variable into the second variable, and then you get back that temporary variable. So let's do it. So the first thing, I'm going to declare a temporary variable, temp, and then that temp will take the value of A, and then A will take the value of B. Well, we don't care about losing A anymore here because we've already backed it up a temp, okay? So temp takes A, and then A takes B, and then finally we have to put inside B the temp. And that's it. So let's suppose, for example, A is 1 and B is 2. Now when we execute this instruction, we get temp to be equal to 1, and A is 1 and B is 2, right? Now A takes B, so A becomes 2, so we have temp 1 and A is 2. And then we have B takes temp, so A is 2 and B takes the temp, which is 1, and so B becomes 1. So A started at 1 and B started at 2, and they ended up at A equals 2 and B equals 1. And you can basically just add a breakpoint here to see what is going on with the debugger. And again, make sure that the watches here are selected, and then give it two numbers. So I'm going to give it the standard, the sample input here, so 5 and 7.8. So 5 and 7.8. Then I'm going to press enter, and as you can see, we have that little yellow triangle there, noting that we've stopped the program at that instruction. So you can see here that A contains the value 5, B contains the value 7.8, and so on. And well, we don't care about that 19 there, so that's a problem of precision that's related to the C floating point system, so we don't care about that. So that's 7.8 basically. And we have here temp has a random value because we didn't initialize temp yet. So if we jump to the next instruction, temp becomes 5, right? So A is 5, B is 7.8, and temp is 5. Now if we jump to the next instruction, you can see that A becomes the value of B. So both A and B are 7.8. And then finally, B takes what we've saved earlier at temp, which was the value of 5. So now we end up at A equals 7.8 and B equals 5. Now let's jump to the next instruction and let's get back here. So let's jump to the next instruction. So I'm going to run the program and I'm going to give it 5 and 7.8. And well, nothing happens because we didn't ask it to print anything to the screen. So let's now, the final step is to print it to the screen. So print F and then A, and then colon, space, and then I'm going to print a floating point number, which is A, and then I'm going to print basically, I'm going to jump to the next line, and then I'm going to print B, colon, space, and then another decimal number, and then I'm going to give it B, semicolon. So I'm going to print the character A, colon, space, and then the A variable, and then I'm going to jump to the next line, and then the character B, colon, space, and then I'm going to print the second variable, which is B. Now I'm going to try to execute this, and as you can see, I'm going to print 5 and 7.8, and as you can see, they got flipped. So A becomes 7.8 and B becomes 5. And again, you can just get rid of these extra zeros there by adding the precision that you wish. So for example, this could be 0.2 in front of the F, 0.2, to limit ourselves to 2 places after the point. So here 5, and here we have 7.8, and as you can see, that's 7.8 and that's 5. And that's it. That's basically how you solve the first problem. See you at the next video.